future scenarios, and paths forward. North Korea's isolation from global norms doesn't just complicate the problem. It forces us to redefine what a solution even means. As technological advancement accelerates in Pyongyang's weapons programs, the window for conventional diplomatic approaches is rapidly closing, leaving us with choices that challenge long-held assumptions about nuclear security. The future of the North Korean nuclear crisis presents three distinct pathways. First, military conflict would bring humanitarian and economic devastation on an unacceptable scale. Second, arms control compromise offers a middle path of containment and risk reduction. Third, accepting North Korea's nuclear status could trigger regional proliferation while establishing a tense but stable status quo. Each pathway carries profound implications for global security. The traditional approach of strategic patience has demonstrably failed. Ambassador Robert Gallucci, who negotiated the 1994 agreed framework, acknowledges, "We've been hoping economic pressure would change their calculus for 3 decades. The evidence suggests we need a different approach." Strategic patience merely provides time for North Korea to enhance its capabilities while populations suffer under sanctions. Similarly, aggressive confrontation through military posturing or maximalist diplomatic demands has proven ineffective. The Trump administration's maximum pressure campaign initially brought North Korea to the negotiating table, but ultimately failed when the administration insisted on complete denuclearization as a precondition for sanctions relief. Former Defense Secretary William Perry argues, "We should recognize what's achievable versus what's desirable." North Korea will not volunteer to eliminate the nuclear arsenal it views as its survival insurance. A more realistic goal is constraining that arsenal and reducing the risk it presents. This recognition has led many experts to advocate shifting from denuclearization to arms control. Stanford University's Siegfried, who has visited North Korean nuclear facilities multiple times, proposes a halt, rollback, eliminate framework. First, stop the program from advancing further. Then gradually roll it back through verifiable agreements. Only then can we realistically discuss elimination, Hecker explains. Evidence suggests North Korea might accept limitations on its program while refusing complete denuclearization. During the 2018 to 2019 diplomatic process, North Korean officials signaled potential willingness to dismantle the Yongbyon nuclear complex for partial sanctions relief. Though negotiations collapsed over disagreements about sanctions removal, this indicated possible flexibility on constraints. Former CIA analyst Sumi Terry notes, Kim Jong-un understands that an unconstrained arms race isn't in his interest either. The more North Korea advances its capabilities, the more the United States strengthens regional alliances and deployments, creating a security dilemma that ultimately makes North Korea less secure. Several concrete arms control measures could form the basis of interim agreements. A verifiable freeze on nuclear and missile testing to prevent technological advancement, caps on fissile material production to limit arsenal expansion, and restrictions on destabilizing missile technologies like solid fuel systems, while allowing North Korea to maintain basic deterrence. A comprehensive approach must address both security and economic dimensions simultaneously. North Korea's fundamental security anxiety stems from perceived American hostility and fear of regime change, while its economic isolation remains a critical pressure point. Moon Chung-in, former special advisor to South Korea's president, argues, "We need to acknowledge North Korea's security concerns as legitimate, even if we reject their methods of addressing them." A framework combining a formal peace treaty, diplomatic normalization, and military confidence-building measures could alter their risk calculations. Economic engagement, specifically structured with graduated incentives tied to verifiable nuclear constraints, could provide leverage while satisfying North Korea's desire for integration. Rather than all-or-nothing sanctions approaches, sector-specific relief could be exchanged for specific weapons limitations, with mechanisms to reimpose sanctions if agreements are violated. Chinese and Russian participation would remain essential for implementation. Perhaps most urgently needed are crisis communication mechanisms to prevent miscalculation. Unlike other nuclear relationships, North Korea and the United States lack established channels for emergency communication. A former Pentagon official warns, the most likely path to nuclear use isn't deliberate aggression, but miscalculation during crisis. When missiles are flying over Japan and naval vessels are operating in close proximity, the margin for error becomes dangerously thin. Creating multiple communication channels, including leader hotlines, military deconfliction mechanisms, and diplomatic back channels, would provide essential guardrails during periods of tension, functioning regardless of broader relations. What emerges is that a multilateral, incremental approach focused on risk reduction offers the most promising path forward. Former U.S. negotiator Joel Witt characterizes this reality. The choice isn't between a nuclear-free North Korea and a nuclear-armed North Korea. It's between an unconstrained North Korean nuclear program and one subject to negotiated limits that reduce the risk of crisis, conflict, and nuclear use. Among the 5 regions examined in this analysis, the North Korean nuclear flashpoint presents perhaps the most immediate danger. North Korea combines technological immaturity with political isolation and economic desperation, creating unique escalation risks. Picture the Korean peninsula as a frozen lake in spring, where the ice has begun to crack. Beneath lies the abyss of catastrophic conflict. Above stands the possibility of a new security architecture. Each step forward must be carefully placed. Too much pressure in the wrong spot risks plunging the region into the depths, while refusing to move forward means remaining trapped on increasingly unstable ground. The path to safety isn't returning to the shore we left, but carefully navigating toward the distant bank. A journey requiring patience, strategic foresight, and the courage to take measured risks toward a more stable future. After examining the 5 global nuclear flashpoints, the North Korean crisis stands as uniquely dangerous, a desperate regime with apocalyptic weaponry governed by personalized authority. This combination creates unprecedented instability within the international system. Traditional approaches have failed. Maximum pressure and strategic patience yielded no meaningful progress. The international community must pivot toward pragmatic solutions, establishing crisis communication channels, pursuing limited arms control agreements, and creating graduated economic incentives. What happens on the Korean Peninsula will echo globally. Will we create a template for defusing nuclear standoffs or accept a more dangerous world? The answer depends on our willingness to embrace uncomfortable compromises now, before it's too late.